Ladies and gents, welcome to CG Reaction, and this is Geography Now Maldives. What do I know about Maldives? Maldives is in south of India in the Indian Ocean near Sri Lanka, obviously. It was probably first inhabited by Indians since Dravidians were really old ancient people. The oldest language that we know of right now is Tamil, so that's a Dravidian language. So it makes sense that Dravidian or any of their, kids or something probably inhabited Maldives first. That's the case with most south of India countries and islands. It was first inhabited by Indians because from Africa to Middle East to India, that's how people came, and from India to everywhere else in south of India in all the islands, that's how people migrated. So it makes sense. What else? Maldives is the lowest country in the world, not by placement in the map. Obviously there are more places south of Maldives. Lots of people mistake the lowest country in the world, so there's Antarctica after that directly. No, there are lots of places like south of like Australia or something, but lowest as in sea level, lowest. So it's really at the close to sea level, only few meter above, which is scary, to be brutally honest. A tsunami or maybe global warming causes the sea to rise. That's going to be devastating. But yeah, it's lowest place in the world. It's the Muslim country, so alcohol is prohibited. But I'm pretty sure they make exception for the travelers because it's a travel destination. So one of the really good-looking travel destination. So probably people from Europe and USA, probably people like that, North Americans, travel there. So obviously they are going to drink alcohol. I'm pretty sure they make exception for them, but I don't know. I could be wrong. What else? It's really close to the equator, so it's hot. But since it's surrounded by sea by a lot, like island is so small, it's combination of islands. It's not just one island, it's combination of small islands here and there, and those are really close to the sea from all directions. Really too many water there. It's probably more water than land in chain of those islands. So what happened is, since it's at equator, it's going to be hot, but since it's surrounded by sea lot, it's not going to be that hot. So it's a perfect temperature for people to visit. It's like about 30 degrees or something Celsius. It probably doesn't make any difference. It doesn't rise that much. Probably 1 or 2 degrees difference all throughout year, because since it's at the equator, anything is at the equator is going to stay at the same temperature relatively. There's not going to be season-based temperatures since it's at the equator. So it's at the equator, it looks good. It's at the sea, and it has an epic view. Since in the south of the island, if you see it, there's probably nothing there. It's probably, if you go straight from there, from the water to there, you're probably going to reach Antarctica. So basically it's just open sea if you see at the south. And since it's really small islands, like few kilometers wide and long, so if you see in the south, you will probably see a massive sea, and that sea probably goes straight to the Antarctica. It's that big. So just view is awesome, and it's going to be at the 30 degrees around that. So anybody who visits, whether it's Europeans or Americans, it's going to be a warm destination, but not really hot like in India. In summer in India, it reaches high 40 degrees, 45 degrees Celsius and things like that. It's really hot. It never is in the Maldives, so that's awesome. Maldives is one of the safest travel destination in the world. It has the densest city, one of the densest, if not the densest city in the world. It has a population of what, 3 lakhs or maybe 300,000 or something, but it has very low, close to none crime there. So it's probably really safe place, really safe destination place to go to. So yeah, let's see what Geography Now says. This is what I knew. Let's see what Geography Now says.
For years, you guys have been joking over and over by saying, oh, by the time Geography Now gets to the Maldives episode, the country is going to be underwater. Well, ha ha ha! Guess who's still staying afloat?
Islands don't float.
Oh yeah, hey Hannah, how you doing?
I'm marvelous.
Hey Hannah, you know what?
What?
How would you like a lot of lines in this episode?
That sounds great.
Alright, you're in.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Today we are covering the world's lowest country and one of the top tourist destinations in the world. There's more to this place than honeymoon bungalows on beaches. There's a story and culture behind this place. So let's dive into it. Hannah, that's your cue. Okay, when I say a bad pun, you just go slap. Okay, ready? Good, go. Oh, I think you're getting the hang of this. If you look at the Maldives from space, it has a funny shape, almost like little polka dots in the middle of the ocean. First of all, the country is located in the Indian Ocean, right at the confluence of the Arabian Sea, just below India. It is made up of 26 vertical atolls, north to south, and each atoll has a number of small islands and
See, that's what I was talking about. Small islands connected together, so that's too much water here. So even if it's at the equator, it's not going to be that hot, so it's a perfect temperature.
Islets and sandbars, about 1,200 to be exact. However, only 185 of them are inhabited. The country is divided into 19 administrative divisions and 2 administrative city councils, the capital Male, where nearly a quarter of the entire population lives, and the city of Adu in the south. Most of the islands on the atolls are incredibly small, and the largest one being Gan Island, being only 8 kilometers long and 3.4 kilometers wide. At only about 115 square miles or 300 square kilometers, this makes the Maldives the smallest country in Asia by land area. However, keep in mind though, if we include water territory, the country takes up a space of about 35,000 square miles or 90,000 square kilometers, which is over 99% of their territory. After the capital city Male, the largest cities are Adu City and Fuvahmulah, both in the south, and they're the only parts of the country that are south of the equator, Adu having the longest road in the country at 14 kilometers long, connecting the various islands together over the reefs. The capital Male in itself is only about 6 square kilometers in land area, but it's also incredibly densely packed. Like literally an aerial view makes it look almost like downtown Tokyo. If you fly to this country, 9 times out of 10, you will most likely arrive at Male's Velana International, which is on a completely separate island, Huhule. It's a Brazilian inside joke. For the longest time, the only way you could transport yourself to the city was by taking a water taxi or ferry, which could cost travelers another extra fee upon arrival. Until just recently, when they decided to build the bridge known as the China-Maldives Friendship Bridge, funded in part by China. Set to open in August 2018, this would connect...
China funded it. That's scary, isn't it? It's really close to India. China is opposite of Maldives. Why is China funding it? That should scare Indians. Indian government at least.
The 2 islands for the first time, allowing cars and land vehicles direct access to the airport from the capital. Otherwise, surprisingly, they have 3 other international airports: Hanimadu International in the north, Villa International in the middle, and Gan International in the south. Some of you might be thinking, hey, I wanted to take a bus and check out the entire country. Would I be able to do that?
No.
Well, why is that, Hannah?
Well, let's just address the obvious. The Maldives is not exactly a backpacker's country. Everything is separated by water, and unless you own your own boat or seaplane, chances are you need to hire one, which will cost an extra couple hundreds or thousands of dollars. And unless you know a local that is willing to let you stay at their house and give you the best hookups, chances are you'll be paying an additional hundreds to thousands of dollars for accommodations. This is why the Maldives is famous for being a honeymoon destination. About 1 million people visit a year and usually rent out the famous Maldivian luxury
That looks awesome. Man, as far as expensiveness goes, it's a travel destination. If you come here, you better lose your purse a bit. That is given, isn't it? If you're surprised by that, it's your fault. Of course, they're gonna charge you for things. It's probably one of the key money they use as a GDP. That's the main GDP source probably. So yeah, it's a travel destination. You have to spend money.
water bungalows that can go anywhere from about 500 to 2,000 a night. Usually they come complete
Looks
with
awesome.
glass doors to view the water below. Top of the line furniture, jacuzzis, Wi-Fi, air conditioning, gourmet meals, and even pools.
Wait, I don't understand. You can literally dive into the beautiful ocean.
Oh my god, look at how awesome it looks. I love it. Look at the watercolor. Man, this is a great location for the next Dying Light game, Dying Light 3 or something. Because any of you remember Dying Light 1, it was set in this, when you start you're at the resort or something where lots of travel bags are around, and it's really travel-y place, travel oriented place. So this would be awesome because it will give you sense of original Dead Island in the new Dying Light third part. I guess second is already made, so in third part it would be awesome. And since it's really small islands, the Dying Light developers and Dead Island developers have this tendency to, cut up massive places in 2 to 3 regions. It would be easier this way. You could restrict some places until later of the game, and it would be really open, awesome places to visit. Really great location to look at. Look at the water. Look at the resort. If this was part of the, like Dead Island 1 but Dying Light 3 now, it would be awesome with the parkour mechanics and everything. This would be an awesome open world game location.
From your bungalow. Why would you need another pool?
Well, think about it. Why would you construct an extra bathroom in your house?
Well, because if I don't want to use the first one, and also it kind of appreciates the value.
Yep. Although most major inhabited atolls do have luxury resorts, the Maldives is so much more than that. And I would say if you want the truest Maldivian experience, you have to sail or fly to a local island run and inhabited only by the locals with no bungalows.
That's right, Hannah. Islands like Vadu or Fioari with thick palm forests, the streets of Didu in the north, where you can watch local kids play soccer at the sports field. Oh, and what's this place? Kalaidu? It's pretty big and spacious with a nice lagoon, but no major resorts.
It looks like you just searched Google Earth and chose any
Yes.
random secluded island.
Yep, that's exactly what I did. And get back to work, Ken. Otherwise, Hannah, how would you like to mention the top notable sites?
I would. Male's Friday Mosque and the Golden Dome Huhu Male Mosque, the Tsunami Monument, the President's House, the Victory Monument, Republic Square, the historic battleground of the Utimo Ganduvaru, the damaged Buddhist stupas, the Vasho Veo Pool, and if you're curious, you can stop by this island where they throw all their trash. But yeah, other than that,
Okay, so they burn that too. That's why the smoke. Like, what the hell is that? Some kind of natural thing? No, they probably burn the trash.
notable site is like a luxury bungalow villa. So now we're gonna try to give you some real good native Maldivian stuff. Luckily, nature does not disappoint. Let's discuss that.
Thank you, Hannah. Being the lowest country in the world, I mean, their highest point is only about 2 meters, has its advantages and disadvantages. First of all, the atoll chains that make up the country are split into 3 general sections divided by the Cardiva Channel in the north and the 1.5 degree channel in the south, named after the line of latitude that separates it. The island lies on what is called the Chagos Lockadiv Ridge, an underwater volcanic plateau that stretches all the way from the southern tip of India into the middle of the Indian Ocean, close to the Central Indian Ridge fault line. This plateau holds what is called the Chagos Archipelago, which contain the islands that make up the Maldives, as well as the Chagos Islands, or British Indian Ocean Territory, administered by the UK in the south, and Lakshadweep in the north, administered by India. The islands are too small to harbor any rivers, but some islands have small lakes and ponds, and the highest point of the country would most likely be the sand dunes of Hitadu Island. These can only reach up to about 2.4 meters. Whew, all right, triple shot of espresso break. You know what time it is? Noah, you know the deal. Take it away.
Yep, get out of here. All these islands have pretty much the same makeup. Coral islands with nice beaches, tropical vegetation. Inhabited islands typically grow crops like bananas, papayas, citrus, breadfruit, and drumstick trees, which, by the way, produce benzoil. If you don't know what that is, we don't either. We just report it. Only about 10%
of all the places that the geography now shows, they either travel to there or do extensive research. This does feel like they just Googled it.
the actual land is cultivated for crops due to the poor, highly alkaline soil and permeation of salt water into the fresh groundwater deposits. This causes a problem as most of the residents depend on ground or rainwater for drinking purposes. Otherwise, when it comes to flora and fauna, the Maldives is about going down under water. The reefs in themselves contain nearly 200 species of coral, 1,100 species of fish, 3 species of sea turtle, 12 species of whales and dolphins, and 145 crab species. You can even feed stingrays or see bioluminescent plankton wash up on the shores.
Ooh, look at that. That looks awesome, man. Oh man, I forgot also the elements. Since this is not an industrial place but a holiday destination, there's not going to be much of industry here. So skies must be really clear. So look at those stars, you can already see it. It's not even fully night. Oh, being at the beach at the night, seeing the night sky like that and all that glowing thing is just awesome, man. Man, I'm gonna visit this one day.
Lighting up the beaches on certain islands if you're lucky. No surprise, the Maldives is a huge seafood country. Their favorite fish being the skipjack tuna, and they love cooking up yellowfin, which is actually one of their national animals in addition to the white-breasted water hen. That being said, the majority of food products must be imported as they cannot sustain their entire populace, let alone visitors based off the limited resources that they have. Speaking of the populace...
Once again, that was Noah. Thank you. Follow him on Instagram. Send him fan mail. Whatever you want.
You can find me.
All right, so now we reach the most enigmatic aspect of the Maldives, the Maldivians. Who are they and what's their story? Well, first of all, the country has about 450,000 people and is the smallest country in population in Asia. The country's citizens make up somewhere around
Smallest population in Asia. That doesn't say much, does it? Because of India and China is so much populated. That doesn't say much anyway. But yeah, it is really small.
Around 80% of the population and identify as ethnically Maldivian or Divehi, whereas the rest of the population are foreign expats and some illegal immigrants, mostly coming from Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bangladesh. They
Sri Lanka makes sense, but Nepal and Bangladesh, that's way far away.
use the Maldivian rupiah as their currency. They use the types A, D, G, J, K, and L plug outlets. When you have a ton of tourists, you kind of have to accommodate and be creative. And they drive on the left side of the road. Now, before we move on, we might need to explain first what exactly an ethnic Maldivian is. Well, for one, the Maldivians are part of the broader Divehi ethnic group, which are kind of separated into three categories. The main group, located on all the islands from the top to Lamu, which make up about 70% of Divehis. The southern group, which inhabit the three southernmost atolls of the Maldives. They have a different accent and are closely related to the original Maldivians. And finally, the Minikoi, or the northernmost people, which used to be part of the Maldives, but then they seceded themselves to India and became part of the Lakshadweep Union territory. It's kind of like what Mayotte did with the Comoros.
Yeah, I know. Don't remind me.
The language they speak is called Divehi, a cousin of Sinhalese. It has kind of like a slight Arabic mix to it, and they write in a script called the Tana, which is also inspired off of Arabic. They used to have their own ancient writing system, but just like Javanese and Indonesia, it died out in the 20th century.
Yeah, I know. Don't remind me.
Otherwise, English is widely spoken, especially in the tourism sector. Unfortunately, freedom of religion.
You have to speak English if you are making a travel destination, because let's be honest, most of the travelers that are going to spend money there are going to be from the developed countries, which is English speaking countries. So you have to speak English.
Is not quite exactly existent in the country. The country's official state religion is Islam, practiced or at least claimed by over 98% of the population. And by default, all citizens, by decree of the Constitution, are required to be Muslim. They are not allowed to renounce or convert, and non-Muslims are almost never granted citizenship. Non-citizens and visitors, of course, are free to believe whatever they want, but they are not allowed to publicly proselytize or practice anything other than Islam. Which is strange, because for the longest time, the Maldives was a heavily Buddhist country for centuries. We'll get into that later. Culture-wise, they are seafarers, ocean people. If they aren't sailing the traditional Doni boats, they're swimming or fishing, making crafty oar blade patterns, using swing beds, making lacquerware or pattern mats. And don't be shocked to find people dancing on the beach, playing music with the strange bubul tarang.
But if I were living in the places like that, which has incredible beaches like that, I would be singing and dancing too, all the time.
Instrument, which brings us to history. We don't have enough time to get into it, but in the quickest way I can put it, Girovaru people, the first settlers, come in from South India, the arrival of the Sinhalese people, the first royal dynasties, Buddhist period, lunar dynasty, conversion to Islam, the Portuguese come in, British protectorate, country becomes a republic, tourism starts in the 70s, reign of President Mamun, the 2004 tsunami, democratic elections in 2008, post-tsunami development boom, and here we are today. In addition, some famous or notable Maldivian people throughout history might include Ibrahim Nasir, Yamin Abdul Gayoom, Mohammed Nasheed, singer Unusha, Yuma Mohammed, Sunita Ali, Sizan Ali, Ali Ramiz, Naifaru Tohoko, Nazmi Johnston, Hassan Saeed, Ahmed Ridwan, and Yamin Rashid. Whew! Alright, that was quite a few interestingly pronounced names. Let's move on to the friend zone. Now, the Maldives is a high tourism country, but they are also a very high diplomatic country as well. The UK is probably the closest European friend, as they still hold ties from being a British protectorate. However, things got...
It makes sense since, India was a British country and there was a Indian Ocean route from Europe basically goes through the Maldives. So you have to keep Maldives at, proper British country. Otherwise, it's, an issue during the travel routes. So it was between the travel routes of India and Britain.
Got a little weird after they decided to leave the Commonwealth. With India, it's complicated because in the past, they have accused India of interfering in their affairs, and India has shown bitterness in the past with them doing things like declining the renewal of Indian visas and reaching out to Pakistan. Nonetheless, India is still a huge player in aid and support, and as much as they disagree, India has to kind of strategize their diplomacy before China gets too cozy with them, especially after building that bridge.
Yeah, like I said, the bridge thing. Yeah, India doesn't matter how bad relations get or how tension rises. India has to be one of the key trading partners to them because it's really close to India. Pakistan or China, if anybody like that gets really close to Maldives, that's a security risk for India, isn't it? Since it's so close to India. So that would make sense. And also I saw the news where India is making a $400 million bridge or something. So there you go. China made the bridge, India like, I'm gonna make the bridge too because we have to keep the relations good.
The UAE and Singapore are like the superhero friends that they look up to. They are the biggest import partners, and they really aspire to become something like them. You know, a nation limited in space and resources, yet diversified and thriving economically. They always watch them and take notes. When it comes to their best friends, however, most Maldivians I have talked to have said probably Sri Lanka. The two countries have a long history and shared culture. They both speak similar languages. The Sri Lankan military trains theirs. Many tours to the Maldives are also dependent on them as they operate in joint packages. And after the 2004 tsunami, Sri Lanka was one of the first friends to jump in and help them. In conclusion, the Maldives is like the lowest nation in the world, but they also kind of literally personify this saying that when you reach the bottom, there's only one way left to go. Stay tuned, Mali is coming up next.
Yeah, Maldives is really great looking location, man. It's a great location to visit. It's really safe location to visit. So I'm pretty sure that lots of European and American tourists that going there, it will make sense. It's looking really, to be brutally honest, I knew it was a great destination, but I didn't know it was that great destination. You'd rival almost any travel destination out there in Hawaii or whatever, anywhere. It looks really good. Some game developers could make a game there, since they always makes games in islands something. So why not in Maldives? It looks awesome. So yeah, I knew lots of things about it since it's close to India. Obviously, I know things around India and in India, so I kind of knew that. But yeah, that's good to know. Alright, if you like my reaction, please don't forget to like and subscribe.